Make sure this is not engaged on any channel, this mix sub button. Just keep it up on mix. That's the way to do it. Okay. This is your main sound channel. When this is down, the only sound will be heard in the monitors. When you turn this up, that is when the sound will go through the main speakers, which are right there, as well as up at the bar if you are in that setting. Okay. So how things are connected here. All right. This cable is your iPod channels. Okay, so generally speaking, you'll be running an iPod or an iPad with music from Pandora or whatever source, and this should be, when the band is playing, running all the time up and just muted, and then when the band goes on a break, they can simply unmute that and house music would come back up. Okay, you have the capability to put it in the monitors, although that is almost never something you generally want to do. It is a good way to troubleshoot when you are not getting sound from the monitors, to see if it is something to do with the monitors themselves and the way they're connected. So sometimes I'll use that to test the monitors and make sure they're connected properly. Okay. These two cables here, these are called XLR cables, mic cables. These run to the wall, so you can follow them all the way over to here on the wall. That should not come off, but that's okay. Go back on. This will send the sound into our main system. Our main system is up at the bar. It is controlled with the little control box up there, and you can control the volume in each zone and also where the sound goes. So right now I am set for the snug only. So when we do our sound test, we will see the sound only appearing back here in the snug. There are times where you can set it for snug and patio only, snug and bar only. You can do festival setting, which will be all of those, including the speaker down at the end of the alley. So those are some of your options. This cable runs from here, this is your monitors, okay? And this is where you're gonna need to check if you start having issues with your monitors. This runs into below where we have the feedback suppressor. It then runs out of the feedback suppressor and into the EQ, runs out of the EQ and into the amp, and then out of the amp here, and that is connected right here to the monitor speaker. And then I daisy chain the monitor speakers together with this long speaker wire. Okay, well, any connection that you can get to work works, as long as they're tied together. So then you get the same volume of sound and the exact same mix out of both monitor speakers. Okay, you want to make sure both are working. Most bands will require that. Okay, this is powered through a surge protector as an extra level of protection, although it probably would be fine without it. It's better to be safe than sorry. Some of the other things to take note of in this system, this is your effects setting. Our Lexicon effects in the board are incredibly complicated. I tend not to mess with it very much. Okay, I generally keep it set to 3, which is V Hall. Creates a slight reverb sound, as though you were in a vast hall. A little bit of echo, but not over the top delay or anything. And then I usually set these guys at about 10 o'clock. You want to just adjust them. Every time you make an adjustment, the red lights will pop on. Just adjust it back so they're off. It is a very complicated system. You can feel free to do more research on how the Lexicon effects work, or you could just leave them set for the standard amount and don't mess with it much after that. This button, this green one here, this knob, is the effects to your monitor, right? Auxiliary 1 is your monitor. This will send effects to that. I usually like that to be pretty high. Bands like to hear a lot of effects. It makes them think they sound better than they might. And so I usually keep that fairly high. Effects to auxiliary 2 will only be used if you are using auxiliary 2 on like a big festival day. And then I usually set that at about 12 o'clock when I am. Effects master, this is overall amount of effects, and I set that to 12. And then this is effects to main, and I set that at about -10 level. That's how much effect gets sent to the main speaker. Turn off your PFL here. You want to make sure when you start to do sound, there are all the buttons that are engaged are ones you want to be engaged. Don't let buttons just be accidentally pushed and leave them there, okay? Now, one of the things that's interesting about our effects, and I don't know exactly why this is the case, but for them to hear it in their own speaker, you do have to engage the channel and the main slightly at least. Otherwise, you won't hear any effects on any of the channels, so it won't work. This is your auxiliary 1 master here in the top right corner here. This controls your overall monitor volume. So if you have a good mix and you're happy with the way it sounds, but you think it is a little too loud, you can just adjust this down, and that will bring down the overall volume of that, okay? A few things to check if you are troubleshooting. First question is, what is going wrong? Are you getting power and lights on this board? If you are not getting power or lights on this board or on any of the devices down here, check and make sure they are still plugged in to the power supply on the top of there, right there, that orange light, that power supply. Make sure that light is on, make sure everything is lit and powered, okay? That's the first step. If you've got that, checked all those things and they're all not working, check your surge protector, check and make sure you didn't blow a circuit, okay? On the back, like I said, of this mixer, there is a power button. If all the other lights are working and this mixer is off, most likely someone pushed the power button on the back. Make sure that is not engaged. Once you have all the lights working, if you are not getting sound through the mains, but your monitors are working, that would be something where you need to check your connection from this point to the wall over there. Assuming your connection is good there, you need to go and check your settings at the bar. You want to make sure you are on festival or snug only, or a setting where it allows sound to transfer from the wall to the speakers. The third and seemingly most obvious thing to check is make sure these speakers are actually plugged in. Oftentimes, they will be unplugged and be sitting up there. Check and make sure the connection is good, okay? That should fix your problem as far as sound coming through the main. You also want to make sure that you do not have any of these mix sub buttons engaged. You want to make sure that it is up here. The slider is up, and this slider, the yellow one, is up. You want to make sure that you have gain here, okay? If all of those things are happening, then you will, you should have sound coming from the mains. If you are not getting monitor sound, there are many things that can go wrong. The first thing to check is to check multiple channels and make sure it's not just that one channel, but that all channels are not working for the monitor. One of the easiest way to do that is to turn the monitor up with the iPod and see if you get iPod music playing through the monitors. If you're not getting any sound from any channels through the monitors, first make sure that the monitors are actually plugged in, and then backtrack. Make sure that each point is plugged in. Make sure the banana clip is plugged in there. Make sure you're plugged into the EQ and the feedback reducer, and make sure that you are plugged into the amp, and make sure that you are plugged in here. If everything is plugged in and your monitors still are not working, I can't imagine what else the problem could be. Make sure your green knob is up here, and make sure your green knob is up there. Sometimes this will get turned all the way down. This green knob right there, the auxiliary master, and that could be causing the problem, okay? Generally speaking, that'll solve 99% of your problems where you are getting no sound. The other problem that's common, and we'll address it a little bit more in my next video, is feedback. Feedback is a result of certain frequencies getting picked up by either open microphones or pickups and then being circulated through the system. Oftentimes it can be resolved by cutting the volume on the monitor, either for that specific channel or the overall volume on the monitor. If that doesn't work for you, or you're bringing it down too low, you can try and hear whether the feedback is high frequency, mid frequency, or low frequency, and you can either adjust it out of their main channels, but remember that'll affect how it sounds everywhere, or you can use the EQ down here and try and remove the proper frequency. One of the ways to test that is to lift that frequency up, and when you hear the feedback, then you know that that channel is causing it, and you can bring it back down and out. By taking out those channels out of the monitor, you are able to hopefully remove that feedback from that. This is engages this one. We only currently use this side, and this causes a low cut, which, like I said, takes out a lot of that low end noise. Okay, stay tuned. I'll have another video basically walking you through the system and how to run a sound for a band. Thanks. Bye.